Topic: relevance of GST in business. So, to what extent businessmen, his decisions, his business, and his attitude is going to be affected by GST? That is what we need to understand. Because there's a lot of talk. It said that uh, what is this GST is becoming such a big impact in our life that is it that everything revolves around only GST, or it's only an aid for the government and for businessmen? That's what we want to look at. This is broadly divided into two things. One is called the curtain raiser, that is about the GST. Curtain raiser, a quick this thing about GST, though all of you know. Relevance of GST in business, this is a topic former. That this is a broad perspective. First thing, what all provisions impact the business, and the other is the sector wise. I think Ashita said if we can also deal with some sector wise. So some of the sectors I have taken, and what are the alternatives in business one feels like looking at, whether GST will have an impact. In fact, people feel that GST is become a bit too irritating and it's affecting the business. But whether it's irritating, whether it is necessary, let's unfold in the next, shall I say, about 110 minutes. What are the factors affecting business decisions? Normally, if you're in business, what do you look at as a business? One is you look at the market. Most important is the market. Second thing is the country specific. For each country specific, there are some factors which will be relevant to take a call. International events also, things have become so fast. We are all seeing in the social media, certain things have become redundant and some more things will become redundant. The economic scenario as such and the technology absorption. These are, I could look at the 5 factors which, because this I got it all, this entire presentation because I was speaking to the Bombay University management students, and they also agreed that these are 5 major things. But that's that. But to that you add GST. So really speaking, can these 5 factors are enough, or you need to look at GST also, which will be equal to the business decisions. And that is where, if you see the caricature down, that lady is totally confused because she says, in business, why am I concerned with GST? It should be neutral that to whatever decision I take. But then let's see, it may be neutral, but you need to take cognizance of it before you take a call to start a project in whichever walk of the particular domain you want to do. So we have a curtain raiser about GST. Yeah. GST is one direct tax for the whole nation. This is what when the GST came, they said it is one indirect tax for the whole nation. Make India one unified common market. The destination-based tax on consumption of goods and services. Single tax on supply of goods and services right from the manufacturer to the consumer. That's very important. Earlier it was excise duty, VAT, excise duty for manufacturer, VAT at the time of sale to the consumer. But here, right from the manufacturing stage to the consumption stage, it was one single tax. Essentially a tax only on value addition at each stage with set off benefits. So there's no cascading effect. A seamless credit system. Of course, in actual practice, it could be seamless credit, but that's the intention. Consumer not burdened with cascading effect of taxes. What is the philosophy of GST? One nation, one tax. That is the philosophy. Tax only on value addition. Mind you, this is a very important philosophy in all walks of life. There is a philosophy which is started, but ultimately it gets diluted, and the end result may be quite different than the philosophy. That is where we are going to unfold today. One nation, one tax. Tax only on value addition to avoid the cascading effect. It's a transaction tax, not on that person. It is on the transaction. Benefits to business, consumer, and government. Now let's look at, for the business and industry, the government's perspective, what do they see? In their view, is easy compliance, a robust and comprehensive IT system available to the taxpayers online, which they call it the portal. But then, portal has become immortal. If you see the caricature here, everything is revolving around portal. It doesn't have a human face. It can't look at from each problems. Everything, the whole world is going around, at least the GST world in India, is on the portal. So whether that's a easy compliance, a faceless world, and perhaps that's something to do with what's going to happen in the years to come, not only on GST, in all walks of life. I'm told going forward, you will be known by your number and not by your name. Okay, so that is where we are going. One number will be given, and world over, or India at least, you will know only by number. So if anybody meets, introduce your what's your number, my number is so and so, what's your number? So that's how we are going. So this portal also reflects that it's totally immortal, and that's where the substantial irritation is happening, because we are used to, in the last so many years, that the entire, earlier you could talk to a bank, you could talk to a telephone person, you could talk to somebody, your refrigerator is not working, your AC is not working. Now you have only one call center, and that person will be somewhere sitting in Gurgaon. And he said, the person will call, very sweet voice, what can I do for you? So you feel your whole problem is solved. But actually your problem gets started. Because when she says, what can I do, you start explaining. Then the person will say, this. Ultimately, you don't get a solution. You ask any question, no answer. Then they say, no, our standard answer will come through email or something. Sometimes if it's a bank customer, they'll say, okay, sir, we'll call you tomorrow, we'll come back to you. But when they say come back to me, they're showing you back to you. You'll never see. So we are getting to a faceless world, and this portal is the ultimate. That you can't talk to that person, you can't do anything, you are helpless, and you feel that what is happening. It just doesn't allow you to proceed. So this portal is immortal, and mark my words, in the years to come, this is going to rule the roost. You know, uniformity of tax rates and structures, no need for state shopping. This is very important. I think one of the most important things GST has done, it's an excellent thing. Today you can't shop, there's no state shopping, it's universal. You can't get in Himachal, a lower rate, say the industry moves there, or say Northeast. No. So there's nothing called state shopping. Uniform rate across the board. So the factors of production will decide which various other factors will decide the land availability, infrastructure, good labor, all that. But certainly not tax structure, which will decide where a business will be set up. Removal of cascading effect, system of seamless tax credits throughout the value chain and across states, ensuring minimal cascading effect, reduce hidden cost of doing business. I'll just take you to a very simple example all of you must be knowing, but just so that we are all on the same page. In fact, most of it in the next 15-20 minutes, the first half an hour is only a curtain raiser, I said. It's just that we are all on the same page. Sales you have, the sale price is 100, cost price is 80, tax is 18, input is this, the difference is this. So less tax paid in cash. So in short, instead of paying 18 rupees, you pay only 4 rupees, because the whole idea is that 18 rupees you already charged to the customer. You have recovered from the customer. So there's no inflation. And this is the net profit is 20 rupees. So it's neutral. You recover from the customer. You don't have to absorb the GST. The customer also doesn't pay that 14 rupees plus 18 rupees. So the whole idea is it's good for everybody. For center and state governments, simple and easy to administer. But yeah, for them it certainly become more simple rather than VAT return, this return, that return. Now everything is one. Better control revenue leakage, IT infrastructure, seamless credit will be incentivized tax compliance. This is the most important. Higher revenue efficiency, decrease in cost of collection. So if you look at the ultimate agenda, in fact, wherever I want to give emphasis in yellow, I think the ultimate agenda is check evasion of tax, boost revenue of center as well as states by expanding respective fiscal space. So here both got center and the state. Center got to tax on the last point on the sale. State got on services. So both the kitty improved and is expected to improve. So that was one of the purpose. At the same time, there is a synthesis between the two agencies and ensure that there is more tax compliance and less evasion. Well, as regards tax administration, yes, there is a problem because you have two people looking at you, but hopefully they say that we'll streamline. So people will be looked after by the state, so also will be by the center. Let's wait and watch. That is wisdom in 3 words. Philosophy, now look at the international philosophy. Philosophy, international VAT GST guideline issued by OECD. What they say is, VAT rules should be framed in such a manner they are not the primary influence in business decision. It is recognized there are a number of factors that can influence business decision, including financial, commercial, social, environmental, legal factors. While VAT is also a factor that is likely to be considered, it should not be a primary driver for business decision. In addition to support neutrality principle, the VAT rules should be accessible, clear, and consistent. So, in short, VAT should be neutral to the business. It should not affect any decision of the business. That's what they say. In our country, VAT is known as GST. So GST should be neutral. It should not affect the decisions. But whether it is so, wait and watch, let's see. GST in India, philosophy, one GST rate on goods and services collected by one agency across India. That's one very good thing, I would say. Certainly, we must say there's a great plus point rather than looking at more than one person. Because you had Octroi, BMC, you had the state VAT, you had central government. So certainly there's a great takeaway for everybody that you meet only one agency. But India always gives a different flavor to everything. Chinese dishes, Italian dishes. You have the Indian Chinese, Indian Italian. It's called Indian spice, Indian curry, world famous. So here also, we have something called the federal structure, union and states. So you have the dual structure, dual levy and dual control. So you have dual structure, both people are involved. There's a dual levy, central tax and state tax, and the dual control. This is one of the most unique thing. Perhaps I don't think anybody else in the world have this structure. But then we are unique in many ways. And let me tell you, I'm very proud about our country. Need not be on GST, but on many matters, our uniqueness comes out in many respects in terms of, I would say intelligence, in terms of administration, managerial experience. So perhaps this dual structure also in the years to come may create some confusion, may foster the growth of the country in terms of state and the center. We have to be an optimist. Types of tax core registration in each state. So you have the central tax levied and collected by the center. That is called the CT. You have the ST called the state tax levied and collected by state. And you have the integrated tax levied and collected by state, but share a center, but shared with the state where consumption of goods and services takes place. So, if it is happening in the state, you sell in the state is then in the same state, then you have CT plus ST. But if you transfer the goods or services across, there's a cross border between two states or overseas, they say you will collect IT or IGST. Of course, that will be shared with the state depending on which state the consumption takes place. I would say quite a novel structure, a lot of thought process. Maybe it's a bit evolving and revolving, but it should settle down. In fact, conceptually, it's a very good law, but whether the law is put in place in terms of many respects, it's a very easy thing. That is where we need to, some doubts are coming up, but I think time will iron out most of the problems. Interstate, intrastate, levy attracted tax rate is intrastate, that is if the goods are sold within the state. The service provider or manufacturer in India, in Maharashtra, he says to somebody in Maharashtra or provides service to Maharashtra. It's called intrastate supply, CT plus ST, and normal rate is 9% plus 9%. But if it's interstate, that is across the state, Maharashtra person sells goods to the other state or he provides service to the other person. That's called IT, which is 18%. IT is IGST. Cross-border also, if it is liable imports, it will be liable as IT. I think all of you know, but I'm just trying to put, let's all be on the same page. That's the reason. Important key is one of the most complicated terminology in GST as well as the proposition, the fundamentals, and this world over is the place of supply. Place of supply, we have to decide where it is supplied. Like goods, you can see the goods moving. But there could be certain things like goods also are not, actual movement may not take place. There may be constructive transfer by the warehouse receipt. Same way services you can't see. So where it is provided, I sit here and I provide service to a person abroad or to the another state. Where am I providing? It depends on the nature of the service. If it is the services of the intangibles, like consulting, then it is where the customer is situated. But supposing it is connected with warehousing. So I provide service to a customer in, say, Chennai. I am in Maharashtra. But I am giving him warehousing services. The goods are here. Then I would say the consumption takes place here. So, because there is a difference, if the consumption takes place here, the place of supply is here, then it will be CT plus ST. Because in case of, I would say, even I've taken an example, hotel. But in case where it is to do with, say, I would say the services of the mind, then it could be where he is supplier city. In fact, I'm not dealing with places supply. It's one of the most complicated thing. We need not be on the topic as such as relevant GST in business decisions. So we need not go into too much. These principles will identify the place where a supply shall be deemed to have been supplied. Basic philosophy, consumption-based tax. Consumption criteria could be nearest proxies adopted to reduce controversy, location of supplier, recipient, place of performance, place of consumption, place where or person to whom the benefit flows. All these are the things. This is one of the most things. We are not having here a technical subject, so we will not much go into that. Place of supply is dealing with both goods and services. I'm watching my time so that I don't overshoot. The place of supply is different for goods and different for services. Then again, whether it is domestic or cross-border, again it is different. Then in domestic also it will be within one state and across the state. And cross-border is import and export. These are all the areas where you need a place of supply. Suffice it to say, you need to identify where is the, if you look at this, location of supplier and the place of supply. These are two things you need to locate. Location of supply is where the person supply goods or services and is where he is situated. And if, where the place of supply is, if it is in the same state, it is CT plus ST. If it is another state, it will be ITST. This is a big challenge, but one has to look at it. This will affect many business decisions. Then you have the dual structure of GST. On every supplier of goods and services within a state, central GST and state GST, you have these by the central government on the left hand side, state GST is by the state government. So there is a SGST Act in each state. Credit, you are allowed between goods and services. You are allowed between CT of one state and CT of the same state. You are allowed. You are allowed between ST of one state and ST of the same state. But not allowed at all between CT and ST. Between CT and ST, you cannot adjust. And CT of one state with CT of another state. That is the biggest challenge we are finding. That a central tax which you are paying, say in Goa, you cannot adjust against the central tax pay in Bombay because they are two separate registrations. There is something called the ring fencing which you will deal with. So this is the most important. CT of one state with CT of another state is not allowed. You can't adjust it. This is where it just leaves the person a sorry state. A lot of input credit is getting dissipated. So tax on value addition, seamless credit is getting distorted. This is one major issue. Important concepts of GST, substantive provisions, levy, tax on supply of goods or services. Time of supply could be earlier of either date of invoice or receipt of this goods, supply of goods or services. So you have could be earlier either date of invoice, receipt of money, advance, supply of goods or services. Place of supply, most complicated, challenging as is the heart of GST, helps determine the place of consumption and the taxing jurisdiction. The tax has been ring-fenced within the state, some challenges, cascading effect, distortion. So if a person in Bombay, he sends his employees to Goa for a conference, and the Goa person there, because he is going to charge Goa CST and Goa ST because of the nature of the tax. In Bombay, I can't adjust that CT-ST in Bombay. So this is a very big challenge. I think our CTC also has its own challenge. But then that's how some of the hiccups on the seamless credit and value tax on value addition. Valuation supply for even if supply for no consideration, rules prescribe for ascertaining of value. There's a distortion here. So if there's no consideration, also in some cases tax will be applicable. You have to be careful. Input tax credit, this is the heart of GST to avoid cascading effect of taxes. How ITC is ring fenced to each state registration, and also in certain cases, legitimate input supplies are considered block credit. Of course, there's something called anti-profiting laws to ensure benefit of reduction in rate of tax. Input tax credit is to be passed on to customer by way of compensatory reduction. This is a very big topic on its own. I am not dealing with that at all. Procedural provisions, deadlines, stringent deadlines. That's the most important. I find it very, very stringent, very strict, which is a big of a problem. So you have the payment deadlines, returns deadlines, monthly deadlines, annual deadlines, audit deadlines. Looks like we are really dead. So that's how the whole deadlines are. There's something called the e-way bill, which affects the movement of goods. Just to give you a good flavor of it, it's very important. The central government, state government are empowered to intercept any conveyance carrying consignment of goods exceeding prescribed value to check whether it's carrying document devices. Rules require a person who moves, causes the movement, including the transporter, value exceeding 50,000 to furnish information electronically in a common portal. Because I said portal controls everybody. Okay? And you have to generate a e-way bill before movement of goods owner's task of compliance. It's a very big problem. Every time you send the goods out, the transporter, the consignor, they need to put it in a portal, do all the database. So this is going to be very, very difficult. So it's, somebody feels that he has to work with his hands and legs tied up. That's how the people feel. But the whole idea is the government says, I'm big brother watching you. I want to look at everything. I want to keep a control on every act which you do. Conveyance or interception is found to be not carrying prescribed documents. The conveyance and the goods carried therein shall be liable for detention seizure. So goods as well as the lorry, both can be detained if you are not carrying the document. Goods and conveyance can also be confiscated and fine shall be levied. So this is a bit tough, but then that's part of life. Then e-invoicing. If it's a B2B and if your turnover is above 100 crores and from 1421 if it is 50 crores, your invoice is also going to be controlled by them. It has to be through the portal. Now, we can do our own invoicing. Then it's a post facto checking by the department. Here online, at that point, so they want to look at e-invoicing, they want to look at e-bill. So many things they want to keep track. Okay. As I said, big brother watching. If you're seeing the Yes Prime Minister series those days, they used to say it is the government governance. Government want to watch all steps which you do. Big Ben watching you. Stringent penalties of failure to pay tax, failure to issue invoice, failure to furnish returns, failure to furnish statistics. I think these are all, to my mind, failure to pay tax understood. Procedural things like issuing invoice, furnish returns, statistics, somehow it's becoming a bit too rigid. And mistakes happen both by the department as well as the SSE. To take every mistake to the level that he has to be punished. GST is a source to collect revenue and ensure there's tax evasion, ensure there's no tax evasion. But it's not an idea to punish somebody. Certain offenses may attract even prosecution. So here the whole golden rule is, in fact, you see, this is the department who's going to see with an absolute microscopic lens. Rule, not a penny more, not a penny less. If you have read the book, Jeffrey Archer's, not a penny more, not a penny less. That's what the rule is. Now I have taken you to a level of just quick, shall I say, ringside curtain raiser on the provisions. Exactly half an hour, 30 minutes I have finished. I think we started at 5:45. 6:15 we have finished the thing. Now let's connect those provisions to the relevance of GST in business decisions. How those provisions affect our decision making? That is the most important thing we need to look at today. To the organizers, Ashita or Atul, if there are any questions, I see some question, but I think we take in the end.
Yes.
Yes, sir, there is one question. If we want, we can take up at the end, or should we take it now?
I think we take in the end. Is there, because let's at least finish this one part of the segment. Yeah. And
Yes, sir.
Yes.
and
Okay,
if
sir.
the question is something to do with that they can't hear me or they can't see this, that you can tell me. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which is, time sensitive immediately. If it can be parked, let's reach a milestone and then I'll ask. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, I may not finish the curriculum. Anyway, you can tell rest assured to everybody that all these slides will be shared to them so they can have the slides at a later point. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, profit, all questions I'll deal with. I'll not run away from any of them. Yeah. So now let's look at the business decisions. How is it? First, you look at profits. You have the sales turnover, you have the purchase, and you have the expenses. On the turnover side, you have the GST on that. And then it will be applicable on what? So applicable on what will be, you have to first determine what is the value. So you need to know the value. First of all, question mark is applicable. Whether it is applicable at all, GST. Is it exempt? Is it threshold limit? There could be cases where there is an exemption. Or it's not in the nature of goods or services. That's also possible. So the first story is when you look at a business model, where is applicable? Next is on what? What is the thing? See, I'll tell you, a lot of people may say, all this is all common sense. But then common sense, it's fine. But when you look at and advise your board on the impact of GST on your business, you need to understand what are all the factors which will be affected. So what I have done is packed it, organize it, and put it in a streamlined thing. So at any time, if anybody comes and says, well, we want to start this business, we have understood the impact of company law, income tax, but what is the GST implication? You can look at this. First is what is it, where is applicable at all? Whether you do a particular thing like this, can GST be, or you are out of GST? And being out of GST is going to help you, may not help you, because if you have got wafer thin margin, then all the input will be GST there, but output will not have GST. You will be loser. It's not necessary that your GST is exempted. You will be better off. Not necessary. I think oil and gas, they are finding it tough because it's out of GST. So their input cost is going up. So we need to look at the first is applicable. Would you like to be applicable or not applicable? Is it applicable? Next is on what? What is the value? Then you need to look at the rate. And for that, you need to look at the classification. So let's look at the slide 20. What are the things which are going to be the challenges? So though goods and services tax treat the supply of goods and supplies at par, certain districts still maintain. So first understand what you're doing is goods or services. Many times you don't know. You may be doing a software. Is it the nature of services or the nature of goods? Or intangibles, trademarks. So first crystallize your mind where is goods and services. Of course, the philosophy of the GST was it will be neutral. It will make no difference. But that's not happening. There are impact in terms of time of supply, place of supply. It can have an impact. So better crystallize your mind. Is it goods or services? Rate of tax different for different goods and services. Time of supply different. Manner ascertaining the place of supply different. Invoicing rules also is different. Treatment for imports also is different. If we import something, whether if it is goods, it could be one impact. It could be software downloads. There may not be customs, but there may be IGST. So we need to look at. Hence, need to properly classify the output supply so the correct tax is charged. So you need to understand exactly what is it that you are doing. Are you doing goods or service? And don't go by the common parlance test, because you may think this is it, but it may not be so. So you need to understand exactly what are you doing, understand what is the value, what is the rate, and then crystallize. Profiling of customers, very crucial, especially the local or across the state customer location, essential for ascertaining place of supply. Because see, a B2C, you need to understand. It all depends. So essential for ascertaining place and also determine nature of tax to be levied. It is CT plus ST or IGST. Many of the B2C, they are finding a lot of problems in the industry. So you need to understand profiling of customers is very important. GST, transaction-based tax. Tax is to be collected at the point when transaction takes place. If wrong tax is collected or less tax is collected, company or its customers may be out of pocket. So that transaction that goes away, it will never come back. So you need to ensure that it's a transaction tax, focus on that particular transaction. And it may vary depending on the person and depending on where it is and depending on slightest change may vary the nature of the tax. No reduction tax supply turns out to be bad debt. The most important. Businesses are bleeding. They say one of the biggest irritation the service sector is facing, because the goods industry, they have already lived with it. And maybe they can do the goods transaction through bank through transaction. So they'll have some method of lien. But services, no. So they say, why If you are asking us to pay 18% tax, but if I don't get the money at all, what should I do? You should have provided something for bad debts. Like the UK VAT does provide certain industries threshold limit, you can pay on cash basis. So income tax also, if you see, in one of the seminars I said, if you look at when I started practice, getting bad debts was next to impossible. But thereafter, slowly they changed the law for claiming bad debts. And now it is much easier. If you write it off, it is bad debts. If you get your money afterwards, you can claim, you will have to offer it for income. Something like that should come, because the biggest challenge here is that. But I don't think they will do that, because that will affect their portal. Portal, too many commands, it will find it very difficult. So most important, the people feel is, what is it, I don't get my money and still I have to pay tax. Government says that is your problem. You select such customers who pay you. If your customers don't pay you, we are sorry, you'll have to pay us. Okay? The usual good old age system doesn't work. My customer is not paying, so I'm not paying my customer supplier. I am not your supplier, I am the government. So you better pay. Then you come back. Let me tell you why I took this bad debts. That is going to be very important for a decision making. Okay, whether you should collect advance on the customer, whether you have to do a due diligence on the customer, because 18% is very steep. So if you lose out, it's going to be a problem. Then, so left hand side, if you see turnover, GST, applicable what rate, classification, impacts consumer demand. All this GST will have an impact on consumer demand. How well you can structure your product post-tax depends on your consumer demand. So this is a very important thing. This part is going to be a very thing. Earlier, maybe you had VAT, you had excise duty, of course, all that. But here it's a bit more dynamic, and when the provisions are a bit more different. So you need to properly study. I remember years back, maybe when I did my articles 1978, there's a company called Walchand Nagar Industries. I remember their study of the VAT provisions was qua each customer. At the tendering stage itself, while tendering, they were doing turnkey jobs, installing cement plants or sugar plants. So at the tendering to the customer itself, there is a study done, including in the agreement there's a tax clause. If the variation in a tax clause, then it has to be, if it's downside, we'll give you, if it's upside, you have to give us. But they ensure that it is one of the most efficient mechanisms. Like sometimes you have to deliver at the on-site, that time all that C form. So imagine right up to the tendering stage, before you get the order, you are looking at the tax implication. That is the importance. I think that's equally important, perhaps more important in today's world. Profits also depends on the purchase and expenses. And this, in both these two important players in things in GST. But there are things, some cases where you have to pay GST on the reverse charge. The other fellow will not pay. So let's look at this slide 22. Usually tax liability is discharged by the supplier. However, in certain notified cases, the liability has to be discharged by the receiver supplier. This is known as the reverse charge mechanism. Some of such notified supplier, payment made to lawyers, payment made to government, services provided by director of the company, import register sales. So you need to keep a watch that even as a recipient, you may be liable. Of course, one important thing is these people who are providing the services and whose services are paid by the other fellow, the GST is paid by the other fellow. Unfortunately, it is exempt for them. That's an exempt supply. There are some implications, I am not dealing with that. Only if your business, if your customer is going to pay some of the tax and your somehow income is treated as exempt, then proportionate credit you might lose. So you need to properly look at that. Then you have the vendor payments. That's very important. Vendor payment has is one of the most crucial. Why? Because on the vendor payment, you're going to claim credit. And sometimes the whole profit of the enterprise is on the credit. And credit has become very, very difficult to claim because of the stringent rules, mechanism, and the portal. As I said, portal is immortal. So you look at the ITC, input credit, is the backbone of the GST. One of the objectives of the GST was to give seamless credit across the board for goods and services. But actually, if you're not careful, instead of it being a seamless credit, it will be C-less credit. ITC is the basic feature of a value-added tax. By allowing business to take a ITC, IT is basic feature. Why they say? Because unless you are allowed to take the IT, the burden of tax is passed on to the ultimate consumer. So, as I said, to avoid a cascading effect, input tax credit is the most important. And that is the fundamental of the value-added tax. In fact, a substantial energy of the business may go in ensuring or salvaging the ITC. Okay, it's the heart of this, and this is one of the important areas where GST is most relevant in business decisions, to ensure that you take those decisions which doesn't, whereby you don't lose any input tax credit. If you lose it, your entire business also may collapse. ITC is as good as money. It's like you lost money that business can use for payment of tax liability. Okay, just like you guard, ensure that your money is not lost. The same importance should be given to ITC. If ITC is not availed judiciously, it may become cost affecting the bottom line. Need for every person in the value chain of the organization to know importance of ITC. It's not only the tax guy who should know. Every person in every field should know what the importance of ITC. If you see this bridge, many of these bridges which you see across in the western suburbs, plus flyovers and all that, they are all on single pillar. There's only one pillar. That pillar in GST is ITC. And that pillar breaks, the bridge will collapse. Maybe the business also may collapse if you don't take care of that. Because there are so many provisions that you must pay that person on time, the vendor, you should pay that vendor on time. The vendor should record it in his and should reflect it in the portal. If it doesn't get reflected, you don't get. He makes a mistake, you don't get it. What does the government say? You say it's not my mistake. You select those vendors only who will do all this. That is why you need to have like KYC, know your customer. You need to know your vendor, KYV or KYS, know your supplier. But do a due diligence. Ensure that he is a good person. And you have to also ensure that you pay within 180 days. And that credit can be claimed only within the end of the September of the next year. So you have a host of provisions. So your GST person who's claiming the credit becomes most crucial to the organization. You may get all the business, get all the turnover, produce all the this, do a fantastic sale, but your bottom line may depend on the ITC. So ITC and the GST has some unique features. ITC is ring-fenced to quad registered in each state. ITC of your Bombay registration number cannot be used for discharge output tax of your Delhi office. So working capital may be impaired. Earlier, service sector, this problem was not there. But today there is a problem. Delhi office can use the Delhi office ITC. Okay, so it's not seamless. Input service distribution mechanism has its own challenges. There's something called ISD, I'm not dealing with that. Then there's artificial disallowance of certain legitimate business expenses way of block credits. So if you remember the heydays of income tax, when you had section 37, 2A, 2B, where so many expenses were not allowed, advertisement was not allowed, entertainment was not allowed. and then it became an artificial income. And slowly they thought about this is not fair, and they removed all that. But all this now, a lot of issues have come up here. And then what are and they call it the block credit. What are the block credit? Not available motor vehicle for transport of persons having specified seating capacity except when used for making certain supplies. So you are on a motor vehicle, you will not be allowed. So this is a very important thing because they feel motor vehicle will be using also for personal expenses. So we will not allow. Vessels and aircraft, except for when used for making certain supplies. I'm not dealing with that because within the business of this, they want to allow. Okay. General insurance services, servicing, repairs, maintenance related to motor vehicles, all this, anything to motor vehicle, vessel or aircraft, they don't want to allow. Insurance of motor vehicle will not be allowed. Servicing will not be allowed. Repairs, maintenance will not. Why? They feel, yeah, thoda to you'll be using for your own household motor vehicle. So I think income tax assessment, they are more judicious. They see how many cars you have. You have 2 cars, one of the cars, maybe 1/3 they'll disallow. But they say, no, we can't find. Because here, there won't be any officer, there'll be a portal. Portal can only decide about this or that. It can't say maybe, maybe not. No. So portal is immortal. Remember that. Work contracts used in relation to immovable property. This is also very important. A lot of, you'll be setting up your factory, setting up your office. You have to pay the work contract for construction services. All that. They say, no, if it's for immovable property, we will not allow. There are a lot of issues here. They are all a topic by itself. Those who were seeing the Mahabharata serial, while they were unfolding the Mahabharata story, there was another story on a story, and thereafter there will be further story. That is what history is. But here, those ancillary stories we may not have time. They are a topic by itself. Verse contracts are a topic by itself. Not available foods and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health service, cosmetic and plastic surgery, leasing, renting or hiring of motor vehicles, vessels, aircraft, membership of club, health and fitness center. Travel benefit extended such as leave travel concession, except where the same notified by government as being obligatory under any law to be provided by employer. All this they say is blocked. Not available on goods or use of personal consumption. For your personal, this thing will not be allowed. Goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off, disposed of by way of gift, free samples, all this will not allow. So on samples, input credit on that will not allow. Gift will not allow. Written off is not allowed. Destroyed is not allowed. Stolen is not allowed. All this is not allowed. Any tax paid by a supplier person determining your demand on account of fraud, willful misbehavior, suppression of facts, detention, seizure, confiscation of goods and conveyance services, people will not get credit. What they say is that your vendor, he paid tax not on his moto. He was caught and there was a demand on him made due to fraud, suppression, or due to detention or something. And thereafter he charges you. Then input credit, he has paid under compulsion. And we will not allow. So he'll ask, how am I supposed to know? So they are saying, you must know about your business. You must know about everybody in your office. You must know about your employees. That is fine. But you must also know about your supplier very well. And you must see whether he is compliant or not. And if he is not compliant, you make him compliant. Otherwise, you don't have business with him. So what you are being told is that it is very difficult for the government to police everybody. So they say, let's use each SSE who's good to police those who are bad and make them good. And if they are not good, don't deal with such people. This is the message. So you may say, sir, what is the problem? I am not able to manage my own affairs. I have to manage business. I have to manage this because a lot of my clients say, I'm finding difficult to manage my own GST, my own payment. Now you are telling you have to also ensure that the supplier is doing properly. He keeps records. He is making GST payment. He files his return. He shows. Then only your 2A can claim credit. What is this? And then many times they forget that we as consultants have not framed this law. So sometimes the anger. I know a person who's my very close relative. Once in 15 days, he'll shout at me and say, "What is this GST? This is so many problems. This." Now, after some time, I was listening, I was saying, "No, this is the law of the land. We have to get used." Then, after some time, you have to tell them, "But look here, whatever anger you are showing, in the earlier days, we know that the boss is to fight with the wife, and the anger is shown in the employee in the office. Now the businessman is angry with his the GST, the anger is shown on the professions. But I am not the architect, no. Okay, if a businessman feels that anything, you have IMC, you have FICCI, you have CII, see whether any redressal is possible. But you can't say everything about GST is bad. You can't say that abolish GST. That is not the solution at all. Thing is, if you have an issue, I think we must together find some way to iron it out. So this is the story of GST block credit. Then let's look at ensure proper documentation of tax and supply on which credit is taken. So this is very important. You see that you give your, your GST number, the name, address. So he exactly puts your GST number in his return. That only will reflect in 2A. Please understand, your 2A has become most important. And unless it is seen in 2A, you will not get credit. So again, remember my words, portal is immortal. You may pay him, goods must have come, service must be received, you have paid him also, but it is not shown in 2A, you will not get your credit. If you don't get your credit of so many suppliers, well, I don't know whether you can be in business. You'll have a tough time. Our credit restricted to the extent reflected in auto-populated summary. That's what I said. It has to be auto-populated. Highly dependent on extraneous factors. So these factors are not within your control. But then you have to take control, you have to take charge and ensure that you need to have those suppliers who are compliant. Maybe some of the people, they pay GST only after it is reflected into it. They pay the vendor bill, but they will not pay unless it is reflected. Then they will pay the GST. Or take your money in advance if it is possible. But all this may be very hypothetical. So let's look at the story. We have already seen this. This is 100 rupees, 80 rupees is this. So this is a tax on the sale, this is on the purchase, difference, less tax paid in cash. Net profit is 20. What happens if one ITC is disallowed? So you have a 4 rupee out of the 14 rupees, 4 rupees disallowed because not reflected, block credit, whatever it is. Then you will see extra paid. Your profit from 20 rupees goes down to 16 rupees. Now see how ITC can impact your business. It's one of the most important. So while taking decisions, you must be sure that things is in place, that ITC is seamless. Or ensure that your product pricing takes care, provided there is enough elasticity of the demand. Because otherwise, if the demand comes down, the price, because of the price, then you have a problem. So there should be a flexibility to increase the price. Otherwise, your price is governed by the competing factors. It's not a cost plus contract many times. So 4 rupees you lose because either the credit is blocked or because you have not efficiently done your work to ensure you get the credit. So this is the very important thing where ITC can impact profits. So come back, see this is every time you come back to the main story, profits, sales turnover, GST, applicable what rate, classification. You have purchases, expenses, your reverse charge, your vendor payment, claim credit, etc. So there is an impact of cost. So that is why we are saying KYS, know your supplier, vendor validation. This is very important. Most companies today, unless you prepare a vendor validation form, which is regularly monitored, you cannot be their vendor. So it is a must affect the input tax credit on business, backbone for product pricing in a competitive market. If ITC is not available, cost of production goes up. ITC conditional upon you make, see all of this you may be knowing. All you must be knowing. Like if you see many of the WhatsApp messages which comes, do this, do that, do this, everything you know. But if it is put everything channelized and organized at one place, and you can, if you have to advise somebody, what are the areas and pitfalls, maybe you can do this. So ITC conditional upon you making payment to a vendor within stipulated time of 180 days. If vendor not compliant with law, your ITC will be rejected. And ITC if already available, you are liable to pay tax along with interest. Obtain credentials of vendor also to review the same on a periodic basis. You have done one vendor value, that is not enough. Today, bank also has got re-KYC. Every year they want to do, or every 3 years they want to do. You may also have to do. If ITC not reflect informed GSTRA, you may not be entitled to claim the same for discharge output tax liability, resulting in requiring additional cash outflows. So again, portal is immortal. So maybe there has to be some communication between your purchase department and the tax department. If 2A is not reflected, maybe the subsequent payments may have to be held up. This sort of, some sort of a communication may have to be established. Before entering into the transaction to do your KYS, as I said, educate the production personnel and marketing person about importance of KYS. To make a business policy to deal only with GST compliant suppliers. And some companies are even taking indemnity. They say if we are faced with a liability, because you're not compliant with GST, you will pay GST. You will have to indemnify us. But all this is taking to a level which becomes very difficult. Ultimately, the business, it has to be understood is on trust. So people may find it very, very difficult, all these things to do. And sometimes they feel these are non-controllable factors. I am not getting money, means I am not paying my suppliers. Now after some time I don't get any money, I have no money to pay the government. And my working capital also is blocked up because I've increased my limit. So all this is going to be a very big issue. I'm watching my time. So let's look at this very interesting. Profits, sales, purchase expenses, sales GST applicable on what rate, classification, everything. Purchases, reverse charge, expenses, vendor payout, claim credit, impact, vendor value. This is the entire thing about business. Now we can look at some of the practical things. This is the basic fundamental in business you must have in mind in any business. On the turnover side, how it's going to impact me on my product, whether applicable or not, valuation, what is the rate classification, consumer demand may be affected. On the purchase side, credit is one of the most important things. Reverse charge, I said, and then vendor validation. Now let's look at some of the examples which we are looking at. Yeah. Just give me a 2 minutes break, huh? Just 2 minutes. My apologies. Now, here's a case, a company located in Mumbai organized a conference of various professions. Take our CTC in a hotel situated in Goa. So, this is a company like CTC registered in Mumbai. The hotel is in Goa. They take their participants in Goa. So, Goa hotel will build a company for all its employees in the seminar. They will charge Goa CT plus ST because the place of supply, the supplier is located in Goa. The place of supply is Goa because immovable property says that where the immovable property is situated. So that rule is. Now the company is not able to take credit because of the rigid thing that the Maharashtra, you can't adjust this central tax of Goa and the state tax of Goa. You can't adjust against the final tax which the company, say like CTC, may charge to his, shall I say, its members for this conference. It cannot adjust that. This is one of the biggest, shall I say, gap in the value addition. So there is a leakage here, revenue leakage for the company. Since company not registered in Goa, ITC, CT plus T of Goa cannot be available by a company registered in Mumbai. Hence, has got a cascading effect. Is it possible to rectify? Yes. Let's look at the thing. Now, see, so here there is a blockage. So, in between this company and the hotel, we can interpose one. Yeah, Atul, you can. Next
Yeah.
slide.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You interpose an event organizer. What happens if the event organizer? Because hotel will charge the event organizer the Goa GST, as CT and ST. The event organizer, when he charges, he can charge IGST as IT to the company. Company cannot claim credit of Goa CT plus ST, but it can claim IT, IGST. Event organizer being in Goa, he can adjust the Goa CT plus T against his IP. So by interposing an event organizer, instead of company directly, like our case, instead of we CTC directly approaching the hotel, if we approach the event organizer, even if he takes a bit of a margin, that margin will take care of the GST saving, which we in turn will have to pass on to our participants. So here is the very important thing: transaction planning, contract structuring, very essential at the drawing board stage itself. Not afterwards. At the drawing board stage itself, you need to factor in, because we also, when we have to do the pricing to our participants, we need to factor in all this. And that is the reason. So this is, though I have taken a very, very simplistic example, in real life, it can be very complicated. You need to see how best we can structure this. Next slide. Challenges in cross-border transaction, export services, money not received, converted foreign exchange within a period of 1 year from data invoice, supplier liable to pay tax, and then he can claim refund on realized export proceeds. Fund blockage is a big issue in exports. No deduction for it, because earlier law, you didn't have to pay the tax on exports, but now you have to pay the tax, and then this, of course, in my view, this can be challenged, but then I don't know how many people would like to challenge. No deduction of bad debts if the overseas customer fails to pay value. Of course, this could be FEMA issue. Import of service from related person, even if made without consideration, deemed you supply. For abroad, if you do from a related person, even if it is no consideration, you have to supply. Why this is relevant? This is relevant because we have many cases, contracts, foreign companies, they have a large, network of companies where they have certain services which are being given. Of course, transfer pricing may come out, but depending on that, some of it may not be billed. But the GST says even if it's not billed, if it's related, you'll have to pay tax. Export of service to an external base located outside India may be considered export for income tax, but may not be. Atul, I think the Niche ka sentence I am not able to read.
Which sentence, sir? Last.
Below last one, yeah.
Export of services through an establishment located outside may be considered an export of income tax, export for income tax purpose, but
Okay.
considered export under GST law, thus attracting tax liability.
Why
There is
yes?
question.
Just a minute, I'm just trying to enlarge. Who has to, he has to enlarge. Atul, can you make that thoda screen in such a way it can be seen?
One sec, sir. Asif, can you see last line?
Last line I can see, of course.
The last line which I can see is thus attracting tax liability.
That's all, sir.
Oh, then it is okay. Then I will see I got the screen, no?
Okay.
We can see,
See,
Krishna,
no
you
problem,
see
no
your
problem.
screen. We are able to see, don't worry.
Sir,
No
I am
problem.
also able to screen. I am also able to see the question mark also in a blue
Very good.
color. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Sir, आपका computer setting में थोड़ा you to do, you know.
Yeah, no problem. But may not be considered export on the GST law, that's attracting. So, if you're going to do exports from here to your branch abroad, that's an issue. But if you have another subsidiary abroad, that is not an issue. That will be treated as export. So, the important thing is you need to ensure that if you are having an export, don't export to your branch, export to your subsidiary. It's a very important thing one needs to do. Now, let's look at the next slide. Compliances returns are, in fact, in the month of March, perhaps this seminar, lot of people must be already busy in their March thing. Yeah. So this is one of the most thing. There are a lot of deadlines. It may attract interest, late fees, penalties. Customer clients may lose ITC on your supplies, may affect business image among customers, clients. If you delay, delays can be on account of inherent internal inefficient to meet the deadline, inefficiency of the outsourced service provider, system common portal failure due to heavy traffic of data due, last minute rush. All this we need to factor in when you put your things in place. Because if normally a tax default or a tax thing will be restricted to only yourself. But here it may affect your customer or to your vendor and it will affect the business. That is what I want to say. So need to have in place a robust software to enable generating correct data for uploading through above statement data. So next slide. You have something called the pull-push pressure. This is very important in any businesses. You have the company tax professional, if you see, he is on one side, but he's pushed from two sides. One is the suppliers validation, customer validation, GST authorities, other regulatory authorities. On the other side, his production manager is looking more concerned with production. His operation manager is more to do with that. His salesperson is more interested in matter who the customer is, who the suppliers. He just wants to do business. So you need to sensitize them to see, make them also GST educated, which was earlier not required. Because this is a transaction tax. So if it's a transaction tax, they must know what is the implication of you don't, whether you should choose a supplier who's a bit costly but GST compliant or a cheaper supplier who's not GST compliant, who may ultimately result in more cost. So we always believe if you have a seminar, in a corporate seminar, you must not only have somebody from the tax team, but also from the vendor, the supplier, all those people will be required in order to ensure that a company as such, is able to make a holistic decision. So this is called a pull-push pressure. Next slide. I have also taken some industry specific, which will be very interesting. We'll take up that. But before that, one of the most important is the HO branch relationship. I find this is one of the biggest challenges in GST. They have treated this transaction between HO and branch are liable to GST if they are in different states. In fact, any relationship between services between two registrations, one in one state and another state, it will be attract GST. So this is one of the most important. recipients of supply entitled to take credit of tax paid as a supply, but there could be cash flow issues. So if an HO is in Bombay, branch is in Delhi, service provider has to be billed. Nobody has an issue because the Delhi is getting credit, but there's a cash flow timing difference. All this need to be factored in. Need to assess. One more challenge is you need to assess the direction in which the supply flows. Is it from the branch to HO or HO to branch? It has to be determined based on who generates revenue. This, to my mind, is the most important. There will be billing from HO to branch to branch, or branch to HO. That cannot be avoided. But which has to be the flow, so the input credit is taken. That does not become a cost. Otherwise, it will become a cost to the organization. The second thing is the salary cost. Are you supposed to bill the cross billing with salary or not? One can take a view. This employees of the whole organization, one need not bill the employee cost. But there is an issue here. Safer is to bill with the salary. But if there are impediments, then you can consider, depending with some caveats, that without the salary cost. So let's look at the next slide, which will give you when it will be HO will bill the branch and when branch will bill the HO. It all depends on the end, the supply chain or supply flow. So if you look at the supply flow, the customer, HO is billing the customer. So if HO is billing the customer, then the branch in effect is servicing the HO. Even if servicing the customer, it's servicing on behalf of the HO. So the branch will take input credit. The supply flow is from the branch to the HO. So all the branches will bill HO. HO will take credit and it will bill the customer. But this mechanism is a very big mechanism, very important mechanism. So you need to ensure that. Now somebody said, if HO, and this is especially in the service sector, it has to be like this. Model followed in certain service industry. So what happens? Somebody says the branch is also using the HO. So each HO is supposed to bill branch. Then again branch will bill HO. To my mind, that is not necessary. To my mind, that if the customer flow is from HO to customer, then HO is in effect, even if it's cost, even though branch is using its services, say like Microsoft license, etc., etc. To my mind, the entire flow of services to the customer. So the supply branch is only to the extent it pays the expenses, but each services it needs to bill HO. Then there is no need of cross billing. I don't believe there's any cross billing. Understand the supply flow. If the end invoicing is to the customer by the HO, then HO need not bill branch. Then it will be a simultaneous equation. Branch bills the HO bills customer, that should be good enough. So next slide, please. Now here we look at the other billing model where revenue is generated by the branches, especially if you see in many model followed by the authorized distributors, or you will see where in the product where the branch is billing the customer. If branch is billing the customer, then whatever the HO costs, whatever mechanism it finds reasonable, it will bill the HO and it will ultimately it will get loaded into the customer and will take the credit. So this would be the supply chain, this will be the input credit chain, this will be the billing chain. But this has to be decided in the beginning of the year or beginning itself before, and you need to keep your entire systems in place. So this is the model followed in some of the companies where the customer is billed from the branch. Next slide. So you have the manufacturing sector, you have the job worker, you have the raw material, you have the factory. Factory, everything revolves around the factory. So the raw material comes here, okay? Or the raw material can be directly, you can give it to the job worker. And then the job worker may give it to the warehouse, okay? Then you have the labor as a factor of production. So from the warehouse, it will go to the customer, or it may go to the port or the CFS station if it's going out of India. So this is the entire manufacturing sector about the management of the goods. But while you manage these goods, you need to also manage how to optimize your credit. Because is it better to ask directly the raw material goes to the job worker and then comes here? That is one way. Or the raw material comes here, then goes here. It all depends on the equation. I can't give you a formula 44. I can only say that please look at these things before you do. That is the most important thing. Yeah. So look at which is the most optimal mechanism. What are the compliances to do if you have a job worker? Yeah. So, and whether the factory should have a job worker or should do in-house, which is more profitable? Should it have another factory or have another job worker? These are all the things, but GST implications needs to be seen. And let me tell you, it's not that it is seen today. I know even 40 years back it was seen, though it was VAT. And they used to look, I know some companies, I can't name them. They go into the vendor's factory, and in the vendor's factory, they'll see the supply chain management and see how they optimize their VAT, optimize their cost. And many of them are given reimbursement of their material at cost plus. So they start looking at, they say from whom you are procuring. We will try to give you a proper price. And then we will give you a best mechanism, and you must bill this cost plus 10%. So which means not only they were managing their taxes, they were managing their vendors, they were managing their job workers. I'm talking on my audit days, way back in late 70s. So now they will be looking at the GST also. Not only they look at the GST of that factory, they need to look at the GST profile of the job worker so that the entire cost is optimized. Because many of these vehicle manufacturing, everything is wafer thin margin. You have to be very, very precision, not only in the parts they use, but also in the GST. So this is it, the customer and the porter. This is the entire goods flow. Let's look at the next slide. Now, what are the things, some issues? Whether to produce in-house or outsource the job worker. Now, obviously, one thing will be also decided by the technical manager, whether quality will be vitiated by giving it to a job worker. But the quality can be maintained also if you have a proper mechanism to ensure the job worker maintains it. But GST also can come to play, whether you should produce in-house or outsource to a job worker. Because by outsourcing to a job worker, whether you are losing any GST, that can have a big implication. So you need to ensure that production in-house or outsource to job worker. Of course, there are other factors, rent, factory rent, etc. But don't miss to forget the GST. Acquire capital goods or lease them. That also depends on input credit. If by leasing them, it's a service you are going to get a credit, it may be better. Whether to own a premise or rent it, renting you will get credit. Premises by constructing your own premises, worst contract, you may not get credit on the worst contract, but you ask somebody to do it, and he may then rent it out to us. He may be a builder. Okay, he may already having his own revenue model. So that credit you may get. I'm not saying this purely based on GST, but one of the factors. If outsourced to, like if you have seen the Airport Authority of India, when you have shops there, you need to look at whether, because they are charging huge rentals, whether you will be able to take credit. That's a very important thing. So all this is very, very important. Whether owning your premise better or renting is better. If it's outsourced the job worker, procedure and the GST law to be compliant. Bring back the inputs, capital goods within the prescribed period, or make supply of same from job workers' premises. Maintaining proper accounts, to pay tax if required on failure to get back goods. As job worker places additional place of business. If that is so, what is the risk associated with it? These are some of the factors you need to take into account. If decided to produce in-house ITC available, blocked ITC, reversal of ITC attribute to exempt supply, See, this is also very important. If you going to have exempt supply, taxable supply, both supplies, if you're going to have an exempt supply and you would like to outsource it entirely to a job worker, and from the job worker it goes directly, whether that is better or spin off to another company. I have two companies, one company which is only exempt supply, one have only taxable supply. So if you have it in both in one company, you may lose out on your credit. So these are stuff you need to structure a transaction. Even the corporate entity, depending on, that's why you have people spinning off to a subsidiary if required. So you need to look at this. Exports could be spin off to a subsidiary. All these need to look at whether it's worthwhile. Of course, nowadays the catchword is not to have too many entities, but you need to, sometimes it is demerge. All this GST may have a role to look at. Okay. Next slide. Then supply chain management GST relevant for decision making. Now look at this state A is a factory. In state B, earlier used to have consignment agent. Now you need to look at, there is a question mark. Okay, whether you should have a branch, and if it's a branch, it could be a deemed supply. Whether you should have a distributor, then it will be an actual supply. Okay, property passes. Then if it's a warehouse, it is considered as a place of business as again a deemed supply. So these are the things which you need to look at. And if it is a branch, then there could be a valuation of supply when in both these cases, when it's a deemed supply, what is the valuation? You need to look at. If it's a distributor, whatever price you're going to give to a distributor. So the compliance of GST, see that the input chain is not broken. Which is the better mode? GST may play. Here the customers directly being billed. So it's very important that you look at which are the three alternatives which is good for you, and then accordingly do that. So this GST making a relevant for supply chain management. Of course, there are other things like distributor. If you put a distributor, he can invest on the infrastructure, he can invest on the, what should I say, on the stocks, etc. But supposing you don't want, you want to control your stock, then you will go to a branch model. Then you will have to build the branch. All this is very important. Next slide, please. Challenges in the real estate sector. I think compulsory rate of tax 5%, everybody is disheartened by this because they should have given an option. Those who don't want to claim credit, 5%. Those who want to claim credit, it could be 12%. That should have been done, but they have made it compulsory. Arbitrary restriction available by ITC, not in sync with the objective of seamless credit. No clarity on taxability, whether land development rights taxable. Because some people say development rights are taxable, some people say development rights are not taxable. In my view, it is not taxable, but then there are a lot of government fees, it is taxable. So there is a big challenge here. The land is a major commodity for the real estate sector. So major component cost. If inward supply procured from registered suppliers is less than 80% of total value of inward supply, builder liable to pay tax and the reverse charge on the shortfall. See what all complications. Things become very difficult because they feel builders are disorganized. They are having unregistered dealers who don't pay tax. So they say, no, in that case, you pay reverse charge. 80% minus actual percent of inward supply from registered supplier. Okay, so all this is becoming, is a distortion in the entire GST value chain, in the entire GST thing. So people may have to have a very robust GST department. Yeah. Next slide. Then you have the restaurant service rate of tax restricted to 5%. No ITC allowed. ITC all costs, rent, inputs to form part of cost. Very, especially I know a restaurant chain, they said with this 5% business, our entire rent is, which is the major thing, is going for a toss. So I think this is a very major issue. I think they should have given them an option. 5% without input credit. and 12% or whatever 18% will be credit. No option to pay tax at higher rate and claim ITC. This, of course, we can have it here in restaurant, one can interpret, but then that will be a very big interpretation issue. And let's go to the next slide. Distortion in some sectors, like you have the oil and gas sector, which is not part of GST. The business here, he is out of GST, but his input is full of GST. So he is having a big problem. You have the road sector, the toll is not liable for GST, but this person has to pay GST. So all these businesses are having major issues. You know, the earlier thing, we are happy if GST is not applicable. Now we would be happy if GST is applicable, we can at least claim the credit. So there is a big challenge to all these sectors. Next slide. Look at the turnkey contracts. If you see earlier, it was onshore, VAT was applicable, service tax was applicable. Offshore, customs was applicable, service tax was applicable. Now you have to look at onshore, GST is applicable. That is one single VAT plus GST. Services is on GST. Then you have offshore, customs plus GST. This is the difference. Turnkey jobs, you may say there may be some advantage because only one agency, they don't have this problem. So perhaps there could be a better thing, you know, to have GST as against service tax and VAT. Next slide. Alternatives. Many times you may have some alternatives. Whether contract labor is better or employees are better. Contract labor will involve GST. Okay. And if you are not able to claim the full credit, then you have an issue. Maybe employees are better. You don't have GST cost. But employees, perennially people feel that contract labor is cheaper than employees. So you need to make have a blind date. Look at only cost. The HR may look at only cost. But you need to look at the GST implication also. If you are an organization, you can claim full GST, then contract labor is okay. This will be going to help you. Same way, buy versus make. If you make yourself, no issue. If you buy 100% GST is there. Same thing about outsourcing also. If you outsource something, GST will be applicable. Whether you are able to take the entire credit. So there could be a problem. Like if you are a builder, if you are having your own in-house team, then you know the GST implication is not there because 5% you have to pay. But if you are outsourcing, then you are not able to claim credit. So you may better to have your own employees, your own team. Then whether new business, same entity or separate company, again you need to take a call. Certainly this will be demerger versus amalgamation. Again, GST will have to be taken into account. So all this, whenever you are having such decisions, you need to put GST also in mind. I am only able to tell you where all GST will come. If you ask me whether this is better or that is better, we have to look at the facts of the case. Then only we can look at whether same entity or separate entity. Next slide. Earlier, business risk was sales, turnover and production. Now the present risk is sales turnover, markets, production, supplier, but GST has become very important. May turn out to be a key factor in decision making. Actually, it should not be, yeah, but it may become a key factor. Okay, so because if you look at the GST, you know, the OECD guidelines, VAT should not, it should be neutral to whatever business decision you're making. But whatever that may say, no tax is a perfect tax. GST also is not a perfect tax. There are exemptions. There are hiccups on the value addition, input credit. All that, it may turn out to be a key factor in decision making. We are already having cases, people coming up, this is happening, what to do, whether we should do this or we should do that. Lot of GST fights are happening between the builder and the consumer, between the supplier and the manufacturer. So all this means GST is no more neutral. You need to take. And end of the day, sometimes business will be feeling, what is important to me? Is business is important? Looking after business is important? Making profits are important? Or GST is more important? So is the government saying, but it's not very important whether you make profits or not. GST important. Ensure that I get my GST. Whether you do business or not, whether you make money or not, see that my GST comes in place. So here the business is getting certainly irritated. And that is where I thought I'll give you a caricature where the government is happy if the business fails but GST is gone. This fellow says operation was a great success. Operation success, but patient died. Because operation wise success, he has followed all the guidelines. If you look at the Arthur Haley's book, Final Diagnosis, where the protocol in US was, those days also, then you must follow all the protocols before you do a surgery. Do all the tests. Ultimately, patient doesn't survive, we are okay. Have you followed all that? That is also important. So the businessman today may fail, same like that. Operation successful, patient died. The entire thing is churning out to be a focus on GST. Though this may, according to me, it may be an exaggeration. I think a lot of businesses are doing well because of GST. A lot of the people were not able to take credit across VAT and service tax. They have benefited. One single tax, no excise, no octroi, no VAT. So there are certainly a lot of good points in GST. Hiccups are there. So let's take up to the last slide. Next slide, I think the last slide. Sorry, one more slide, but let's hold on to this. Way forward for business. Preventive validation of business models from GST perspective. When you do a model, business model, look at the, before only anticipate the GST perspective. Also analyze the GST perspective that the GST itself may be dynamic. That also you need to look at. So entire organization to be GST oriented. A very proactive internal GST department with qualified person so as to be GST sensitive to all businesses and stakeholders. A robust software and systems. Regular upgradation education at all levels on the GST front. This is the way forward for business. So somebody asked, if I do all this, everything okay? Yes, I think so, it should be okay. But then there's a question mark. You must then toss a coin. You must pray to God and then wait and watch. Let's hope things do well. So that's why these three caricatures, all okay, toss a coin, pray to God, and wait and watch is my normal catchword. I always believe you do your best and thereafter you pray and wait and watch. Next slide. Yeah, now this is the last slide. If you remember those days, there was a very good movie called Good, Bad and Ugly. Okay, GST, whether it is good, bad and or ugly. A lot of people get irritated with GST, but we must also appreciate there's a lot of good things in it. And just as like that movie, they wanted to say a life is made of some good people, some bad people, and some ugly people. I think those who have watched the movie will understand me best. I think it was good was Clint Eastwood, bad was Lee Van Cleef, and Eli Wallach was the ugly fellow. So these are three people, facets perhaps of life. Life itself is like that. There's something good, there's something bad, and something ugly. Same way GST also has got its facets. Something good is there, something bad is there, and some of the things are ugly. Let's look at the good things. Let's hope, focus on the good things, and let's make best of the good things. If it is bad and ugly, let's see how to counter it. That's the way to be positive. We must always be positive. And my blood group also is be positive. Thank you very much. Next slide, last slide is there. Next slide. This is always, I have On the left hand side is the lighthouse, which throws light, and right hand side is a confused man. I hope I have thrown some light on the subject, which was not very technical, it was non-technical. Ideas package all the factors which is relevant in business decisions. And on the right hand side is a confused person. I hope I have not left you so confused. Thank you very much. Thank the CTC and thank all of you for giving me opportunity to share my views. And I hope there are some takeaways on this topic, which is a bit non-technical. Thank you very much. I can take questions.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, we have first question.
Yeah.
Company is situated at Mumbai. In process of supply material at Gujarat, company has taken godown for rent. Material will be dispatched to Gujarat godown. Customer will come for inspection on approval of material by customer. Mumbai office will prepare bill. So what will be the place of supply? Please explain wherein Mumbai company has taken godown on rent.
Yeah, so it's just to say company situated in Mumbai. In process of supply material at Gujarat, company has taken godown for rent. Material will be dispatched to Gujarat godown. Customer will come for inspection or approval of material. By customer, Mumbai office will prepare a bill. What will be the place of supply wherein Mumbai office has taken godown on rent? See, I think the ultimate destination is Gujarat and the challan is prepared for Gujarat. Then the place of supply will be Gujarat. Then the next question is impact of bad debts on GST if person follows cash method accounting. Could there be any GST liability if ultimately the payment is not received? Yes, all of us are facing this problem. We are cash based accounting. If GST doesn't come, I think the government will say, thank you very much. You are a very good citizen, good professional. You have done a great service to us. And somebody has done disservice to you. We are sorry. Next is, in case of restaurant business, if they are dealing with Swiggy, Zomato, then no composition, then what rates they should charge? How to see rates? This is a bit too vague. I think it is a parcel sale. You have to go by parcel sale rate. Yeah. Anything else? There is a chat. What is in the chat? There is something.
I think, sir.
Sir,
Nothing.
only
No,
thing
sir.
that about that Gujarat wala question. I think the querist is asking, sir, whether
Yeah.
the Gujarat godown
Yeah.
will be treated as an establishment. So you have to levy IGST on the Gujarat godown, and Gujarat godown in turn will levy the CGST, SGST. I think that was perhaps the question, sir.
If that is the correct question, I agree with you that Gujarat godown will have to take registration as place of business.
Yeah.
The place of business. The Bombay fellow will bill IGST in Gujarat, and the Gujarat fellow will do. If you see my that supply chain management.
Yeah, sir. I think the question
Yeah,
was
I take that
looking at
example.
that, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
One more question. One more question.
Now, one more question. Oh, very good.
Yes.
People are still patient. That is very good. No? Where is the?
So the question says company has claimed GST credit in 2018-19, but the supplier filed GSTR1 on in February 2021. Department is asking client to pay ITC credit claim with interest, but supplier filed GSTR1 late, but GSTR3B filed before 20th October 2019 for March 2019.
No, that means, are you saying, Naresh, what he wants to say is the time period for claiming has gone, correct?
Yes, sir. GSTR1 is filed late, sir.
Huh?
GSTR1 is filed late.
Well,
Means that you should forget the credit.
Yeah. So,
Sir has already explained us the portal is mortal,
yeah. But if you want, you can still fight, because I always believe that 16.4 section can be still challenged,
Yeah.
16.2, 16.4. I think 16.2, if it allows you, 16.4 cannot restrict all these things.
Sir, the problem is the questions are also eternal because we have to restrict our questions to the topic that you are speaking, sir. relevant to the business. And we are now
Yes.
coming to the compliance question, sir.
Yeah, no, it's not relevant. You're very right. We are not looking at relevance of the business and business restructuring,
Yes.
only compliance.
I think
Because
these questions are,
We-
we are already doing enough study circle for compliances.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think it is not, it's not fair on our part to burden Mr. Krishna on this kind of
Yeah,
question.
that's okay. I have no burden here.
Yeah.
Then
Yes.
the second one also is on the same thing. Credit note also is issue. Credit delayed, there is always a problem.
Sir, we thank you. We thank you for
Only
excellent.
debit note has come. Only debit note, there is an advantage. That, it can be given late. Debit note. But credit note, there is an issue. Yeah. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We thank you for excellent session. We have with us President Anish, sir.
Yeah.
We request you to conclude the session.
Yes, thank you, Atul bhai. And I personally, I think I'm bereft of some of Krishnan's wisdom because I joined a little late. But at least I think what I heard was very, very practical, very, very insightful, very well connected to both income tax, accounting, and general business knowledge as well. So I believe it's been a very useful session for all of us. I just want to make 3 or 4 points which Krishnan touched upon. And I think, they are important points. Point number 1 being that in a democracy, there can be no trust deficit between a state and its subjects. And unfortunately, today, what we are seeing happening in the tax world is there is a big trust deficit, which is only widening between the taxpayer and the tax gatherer. And I think that is something which is very, very disturbing. That's very, very concerning to me. And I think that there has to be a movement both from the taxpayer's side as well as the tax gatherer's side to walk 2 steps forward. For us, what we can do as taxpayers is eschew planning, which is completely unreasonable, where we believe that the spirit of the law is getting violated. I think we need to be very, very conscious about that. I know that in today's day and age, drafting of laws is more imperfect than it ever was because people just do not understand English, forget drafting. So I think it is very, very important for us to take that first step and eschew any kind of planning which we believe is against the spirit of the law. The second point that I want to make is that the government rightly or wrongly believes that technology is an anathema. It cures everything, right? But unfortunately, that's not the case. And what we've seen is that particularly the inflexibility of technology is, something which the government just refuses to acknowledge. And somewhere I think all of us will have to understand that for us to effectively be able to use technology, we have to have laws which are stable. We have to have laws which don't get amended every few months, if not every few days. And I think that's I believe something that government has to take cognizance of. Third point Krishnan made about was the level of compliance that a taxpayer is burdened with. And I understand that, everybody wants information, and today, data is king, information is king, and the person that has information has the real gold and not the person who has gold. But I would still believe that there is a limit to the information that a taxpayer can give. The same information is being asked by multiple stakeholders in multiple different formats, in multiple different ways. And I think there has to be some sort of, concerted action to standardize the requirement of information such that multiple stakeholders can use it. Of course, that will take time, but till that happens, I think the taxpayer, unfortunately, is not given the long rope that he deserves. I believe taxpayers need to be given a long rope in terms of not furnishing that information. They are not really to blame. Okay, or delayed furnishing of that information. Let me not say not furnishing. I think delayed furnishing. The fourth and the most critical part that I want to kind of touch upon is that business is a very complex web of decision making. And tax sometimes is a consequence of business decisions. Tax is a very important part of business decisions. And as Krishnan very rightly said, how you, look at a transaction, how you conduct a transaction sometimes is indicative of tax liability. And there are ways in which you can minimize the tax, but you have to get the tax consultants on board right from the planning stage. Sometimes it happens we get involved only when the goose is cooked. And that is where sometimes, we end up doing things where we use, how do I put it, half-baked solutions for a client. And that is very, very dangerous. So I think, with these 4 points, let me once again congratulate Krishnan. Thank you very much, Krishnan. Very useful, very insightful session. And I'll hand it over back to Atul Bhai, unless you want to react to anything that I said.
Before that, one thing I would add what Anish Bhai has said about the too much collection of the data by the department, artificial intelligence and everything. If they are so much equipped with the data, information, everything is there on portal. Krishnan sir, I am really, wanted to put before the government, then why that extended period of limitation has been made so longer now? With all these things, you are right into my system. So where is the question of concealment, this thing, that thing, etc. So I think that they are, exercising their all rights, but about the taxpayers, this thing, that why should I be, practically, sir, today 7 years, almost what, 6.5 years to 7 years become the extended period of limitations after transaction. So I think someday, sir, from our chambers platform, we'll have to
what I am saying,
sir.
no, I'm only seeing one thing. I think the person who's mostly affected is the businessman.
Yes.
And in the yesteryears, you found many businessmen, if you have been hearing them, they used to speak out and make representation. Now the representation is more through the tax professionals. And the government's thinking is, why the businessman who's affected so much
I agree, sir.
coming forward, why are you people simply
Represent.
No. Yes, I agree with you.
You are the person who destroying progress, because the person who's affected is not complaining.
So we have to educate our client associations.
Because the doctor says the patient is not saying anything is wrong. Why are the relatives saying that it is not correct?
Yes, agree, sir.
What is also very big is that maybe the professionals have to say that, by look here, this is the Lakshman Rekha. Okay? I am not the person who has made this law. You want something? Don't show your anger or this thing on me. Use your association and find your way how to do that. That is look at what is happening in the builder. Simply, some of the builders, restaurants wanted something easy. They are also at fault. No? They went and asked something easy. They got it so easy at 5%. A lot of them lost the credit.
Huge credits.
So who's at fault? And then they tell the chartered accountant that you people should do this. Many of the businessmen come and tell me, you people should represent to the government. This is not the way. I said, why should we represent? I remember going to North Block years back, about more than 15, 20 years back. That fellow very nicely said, भाई यार कृष्णन साहब आप तो इतना बोल रहे कि ये ठीक नहीं है, वो ठीक नहीं है, ये ठीक नहीं है, अरे जिसको बोलना है वो तो बोलते ही नहीं है. So I think here we have to sensitize to the person concerned.
Yeah.
And tell him, by you look, it's time. It's like a cooperative society. I'm the secretary last 37 years, so 33 years. So everybody feels that this will only have to do. Let us tell the person, by you also affecting you. You better do this.
Agree,
that is why
Yes, sir.
extension, the government has treated the professionals, they feel, why so much you and care about extension? The person who is affected is not telling anything. So this is why I do understand we have a duty towards the client, but the client also has to,
Agree, sir. Agree, sir.
Thank you.
Agree, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.